Okay, so hi everyone. Hi. I'm so grateful that there's so many people in here. It's so amazing. But as any formal activity, I have to give so many thanks to so many people. I have to give thanks to La Cueva because this whole activity is because La Cueva is having its 10th anniversary. So thank you, Cueva, for great coffee and company and everything. And thank you to AFM President Jessica. She just got here and she's helping me. So really awesome. Thank you. Thank you to all ETSA members that I see scattered around here, over here, there, Thank you. Sí, por ahí, every now and then, sprinkled around. Thank you, Taku, of course. I did not forget about you. Thank you, Taku, for this wonderful pieces of art. This is pretty amazing. Amazing. Thank you, ETSA, too. I am the president of ETSA. My name is Alejandro Silva. And and thank you all members. Thank you, Professor Irizarry. He helped me coordinate immensely this activity. And I see so many of my professors, Mary Safranik, Nanban. Thank you so much. This is the part of the activity. Just 10 minutes saying thank you to everyone. But no, let's begin. Seriously, let's begin the open mic. We have some participants. I guess as president, I guess I have to sacrifice and read the first thing, even though my voice might go like 2 octaves higher because I'm incredibly nervous. But let's start the open mic. What do you say, right? Okay. I just want to say something because like a year ago, I think a semester ago, I was still a member of ETSA, and it was the first open mic. And like I said, I read 2 things. And my voice got so high and squeaky, and I was like, yeah, let me read something. But it was different. I was not the president. I was just a member, and I was just collaborating. And this feels so different. I helped organize this. I can't say I organized it completely. Professor Irizarry helped me a lot, and all the members around here from ETSA, and Nanban too, and Fatiga Mental, which they will be recording us. Hell yeah! And it feels so different. You have this responsibility that you have to be there for you. I have to provide some material for you, and it's really different. Well, I'll start. I'll read something that I wrote a couple of days ago. My literature is divided between something either incredibly depressing for some reason or really romantic. This is like the eclipse between the two of them. It's called Resurgence. I woke up to this realization. I had to give up. I had to give up the one thing keeping the days on the calendar worth looking at. As I thought of this, a singularity latched itself in the deepest reaches of my soul and drenched in gray whatever hope I had left. Waking up to this bitter awareness made each day the lengthiest agony and torture known to man. Reduced to ashes, like the phoenix, I ascended once again. Dreams and fantasies make the newly born phoenix one worthy of admiring, but what came from those putrid ashes was nothing to be proud of. A nihilistic piece of filth, an anhedonic man that holds no respect towards anything or anyone. All hail the power of rebirth. Okay, so I think it's the right time to ask for volunteers. I made a list. I have a list, so you won't be saved. But volunteers? Fernando.
Good afternoon, everybody. Espero que la estén pasando bien. Dímelo. What? Yes. Wisdom. Okay, everybody. So first off, what's going on with my shirt? My shirt is supposed to be the cover for my upcoming poetry book. Hopefully, by the end of the year, it'll be out. So it's called 36 Chambers of Fen, Entre las Fendejaces. And, shit. None of the poems that I'm going to read right now are in that poetry book. But, fuck it, let's go. Okay. Bienvenidos a WFEN. Le prometo un buen programa lleno de poetría, complementada con aguacate, arroz y habichuela, pollo frito y seguro pan con ajo. Recomiendo que ajusten su ropa interior, se echen para atrás, chileen y disfruten de la poetría. Y recuerden, hashtag no afen, hashtag no afen, hashtag no afen. Gracias. I'm making another poetry book that's dedicated entirely to my friends, family, and whatnot. This poem is dedicated to a relationship I still have with one of my friends. The poem is called Goku and Krillin. We grew up together. Our life had always been good. Played games, watched cartoons and movies, listened to music, hung out, created, and did many things together. And even though we had rough times, like Tetsuo in Canada, we've always flourished like Goku and Krillin. Gracias. The next one, a los profes que me perdonen, you've never seen this side of me. It's called Drug. And I have a few friends who've heard this before. If I had a drug, I think it would be her pussy. Call me an addict, because I just can't get enough of her. Judge me all you want, but take into consideration that I love pleasing my woman, and she loves it when I please her. Gracias. I'm sorry. And the last one, por ahora, porque no sé si ahorita vaya a recitar más. It's called Gracias Colegio. Gracias Colegio, por la educación y las oportunidades, por la familia que conocí y que nunca olvidaré, por las experiencias que traíste y hacerme crecer por la música excelente y por esa sangre verde. Gracias.
Okay. Awesome work. Awesome job. Who's next? I see you there. Get over here. He's in the list. Don't worry. He's in the list.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm just a writer. The title of this poem is What a Story. It starts with a gentle spark. It's innocent above all else. It is often called a bundle of joy. It grows, it walks, it learns, it makes its own story. It grows to become someone. It walks its own path. It learns many good things. It grows, it walks, it learns, it makes its own story. Meets people, talks with them, grows ever stronger the bond. It grows, it walks, it learns, it makes its own story. As the bond grows stronger, truth reveals itself, and the bond breaks or becomes magical. It grows, it walks, it learns, it makes its own story. Learns skills, travels to meet and enjoy. Food is a wonderful thing. It grows, it walks, it learns, it makes its own story. When the bond is magical, it ties two to a story that is yet to be told. It grows, it walks, it learns, it makes its own story. The cycle begins anew. A more powerful thing is born, and it is driven by love. The next one, Nut from Geb. You are the nut to my Geb. You are the water that flows, the wind that blows neath a bird's wing, the beauty of a star. However, you are not Apollo, for I am Capri. You are radiant, and yet you are not blinding like the sun. You are the net to my gub. You are the nut to my geb. For you are the strengths that allowed Percy to hold the sky. For you are what inspires me to write. Thank you.
No, thank you. Who's next? I have names here. Paola Rivera. By the way, thank you for volunteering.
Hi. None of them have names, so. When you run out of words, but not of feelings or thoughts, what must be done? When you're the last one, everyone else is gone, and you're lying down on your bed, middle of the night, staring at the wall, or your eyes are closed, and everything is crashing in. There's a distant car horn, a friend calling, asking for help. Everyone is sleeping, and all that joy you felt, gone. Because in the end, all you have is yourself. And you can share, you can rely on someone else. But they come and they leave. They heal and they wound. And it's not always their fault. It's just the truth. And complete honesty is only reserved for you. Because no one knows me the way I do. No one can help me the way they wish to. An author spoke to me. Writing is freedom, and I can't disagree. When I write, there's a sharing weight lifted off of me, but it is still there, lurking. But it is a way to silence the screams. They demand to be acknowledged and hate when they're not free. So my thoughts are their prison, and my pen their key. And once they're on paper, they're free. I am free.
That was awesome. Thank you. Who's next? Who wants to go next? Yes. Wait, we got two. Okay, go on, lad. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right, this next poem's a little personal. It's a little gloomy, but I hope you guys like it. It's called Memories. This is an ode to the memories. You never know which moment will help, but sometimes emotion can fuel better than the thickest gasoline. This is an ode to the moments I spent with my old man. Always cursing at his labor in hand, always making me work. God damn, I don't want to work. I'm only 13. I deserve to relax and skateboard. But I'd work, then bitch and moan as he stared idly. And I never understood that he was just standing behind me, teaching me that the sweat of the brow shows just how you can achieve that which you desire. And you cannot admire this without feeling it. But then I got away from the work. I got sick of the lessons. I got sick of the aching in my hands. I was reclusive, an image that doesn't flatter. I was hiding behind video games and the things that in the years to come would not matter. I didn't see my old man that much because I was sheltered at my grandmother's who treated me like a king. But it ain't over until the fat lady sings and my father comes around sporting a new BMW. Trying to bat my eye, but I'm only wondering why. So I walk away. I block out his voice as I step inside the place I reside. Not even a goodbye for his quivering eyes. And to my surprise, the next day he had an errand to do. He had to take me to the doctor's, but he never arrived. This is true. He was caught up in his car, taking his last breaths by far. I didn't even get to say goodbye and tell him that I did like his car and the way he was pumped to show it. He had the same passion I had for games but didn't have for him. My God, don't I know it? I wish I would have done something different and given him hope. But instead I turned my back and he probably couldn't cope. But now it's me as I remember the casket, memory, the burial, memory, the pain, memory. There's a process you go through. You think about things, you deny them, you get angry, you get mad, you try, you cry, goddamn you cry. And then you accept only to figure out that this process never ends. It just keeps repeating and repeating. And once you feel it fleeting, you remember, and it's all like, I am sad, I am mad, I am not even 1% glad about all the times I screamed, I hate you, Dad. That's just how bad it gets when I lie awake thinking how my life will end. And I think as hard as I can to bend time and space and look into my future. But I can only remember the time that I got some fucking sutures. Another strange fact is that I'm met with pitch black. Then I hear a crack and wonder, will I die soon? My old man was only 35, too. What if I'm 25 when death decides to look inside these eyes? It's strange, but I know it is because of this that I cannot trust in someone else completely. I cannot rely on someone else completely. I cannot love someone else completely. And I don't think it's fair because at 18 years of age, I know what it's like to lose someone from one day to another without them knowing how much I care. But hey, let's look at the bright side. At least I got my mother. All right, so I was recently in a car accident, and I have this scar here to prove it. Yeah, pretty much. I was called actually Scar from Lion King today, so I don't know. And they call me Scarface too. I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. All right, so this one is called Reflection. I was recently in a car accident. I'm lucky to be alive, they say. Sometimes it feels as if I died, and I'm just wandering every day. My memory is clear and bright about the details of that night where I was so reckless in vice that I nearly lost my life. But how could I have known? I admit I've driven drunk before. I admit I've felt alone before. I admit I've wanted to die before. But what good is this confession when I know I'm a fool for my mistakes? I understand what I did wrong. It's written clearly upon my face, a scar the size of a tiny jester that likes to laugh at me every day. I see the scar and remember days when time was far gentler, when there were no tugs of war inside, when there were no constant divides, when peace could be found within my mind. Those times, they were divine. Back then, the biggest worry on my mind was when someone cut in line. But before I reminisce, I ask, what type of life is this? The one that I was living, where driving with velocity fills one with animosity, so much, in fact, that control is hardly present, and you commit atrocities, because it is when you are no longer the driver, but the defenseless passenger that you feel death trickle up your spine and ask, how badly do you want to survive? There is no other option but resist and pry yourself from death's gauntly grip. Remember, as hard as it may seem, he's just a bratty little teen. You cannot afford to contemplate death because when faced with adversity, you have to hold your breath and stare death straight in the eyes until it backs down. That's when you stand up and shout, motherfucker, my time is now. No matter how hard it sounds, you gotta put the fear in death, even if it's your dying breath. Now, even though wounds will heal and you'll understand that what happened was real, you'll always remember how intense it was. You'll never forget how it made you feel. The feeling is ghastly, it's frightening, it's horrible. It's like falling from the sky, you'll just be begging for some rest. That's the test you take when you make a great mistake. Those are the steps built by the stakes that can easily shake and break. Every day, I pass by the scene of the crime. Every day, I took my time as I stared in awe at the place where I almost lost my life. Now, every time I want to indulge in a vice, I remind myself you cannot cheat death twice. That night, as metal and wood collided, I caught a glimpse of brighter days, of kinder hearts, of warmer ways, of gentle art, and no more days. I got the chance to speak with my father, and he told me, son, everything is gonna be okay. And this is the last one, and it's called The Galactic Aspect of Life. I sometimes write about the galactic parts of the world, but what's more galactic than emotion? Think about it for a second. Emotion can overpower a human being. It can strengthen or debilitate their feelings. Emotion cannot be escaped no matter how hard you try. So why is this galactic? I don't know. What's the point, I ask myself. There's only one and it hits me. I can't think about the bad without dreaming of the good. I don't even know what life is like in the hood. Even if I could, it sounds harder than what I think. Maybe I'd be on the brink and take a gun and shrink. But now I blink and I'm back to the lesson at hand. I listen to the song and at last I understand. Love is acceptance. Love is eclectic. Love is sometimes kind. Love is eccentric. Love has repentance. Love sometimes minds. Love is the spectrum of emotions where life is born. You could be beaten and torn and have more love in you than ever before because life is about appreciation. You take the small and seemingly unimportant and you mold it into perfection, preparing to go for more. That's what's in store for those who focus on the important. Don't think about the whore, she's just making ends meet. Living the life that's in the street, it could happen to you or me. You have to focus on the ones who trade places with the weak and become the brave, on the ones who inspire ideas inside your brain, on the ones who you think will end up insane. There can be no blame. Life is different for everyone. Some win, some lose, some decide to sing the blues. But what you do is entirely up to you. So go forth and conquer. Go forth and face warmongers. Show them that every part of life has a bright and silent quality, just waiting to be found, just waiting to be discovered. Tired of being left around and searching for its mother? That's us, all the people who experience life's magnificence. It could be you, it could be me. For that, we'll wait and see. Man, you gotta live life as splendid as can be. Learn your family tree, learn your values, live your life an honest being. Never stop even if you think you've hit the ceiling, because you haven't. Life is eternal and vibrant. Don't be afraid to be happy like a dog peeing on a hydrant. Life is violent, but don't let that bring you down, because beauty is just waiting to be found. Now just look around and focus on the galaxy. It's all around you, here, there, in the middle of nowhere, maybe even under that set of stairs. So as you decide to live, there may be strange parasites that attempt to corrupt you, but you gotta find your might, because you will encounter strife. But throughout it all, always remember the galactic aspect of life. Thank you very much.
Wow. There la épico. 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 We had someone, Carlos Santalla. He had, okay. Look, I don't want. I don't like this feeling that I'm like calling on people. Please, after him. Okay, I'll see it that way. There you go.
All right. So, unfortunately, these are actually not original works. This is poetry by a dear friend of mine, Sarah Askew. She can't find herself here today, but I got her permission to read this poetry, and, I'm a really big fan of her work, so I decided, what the heck. The first poem is, Your Heart is an Empty Church. Couched on ripe pews, we inhale sticky sweet smoke, electric citrus, summer thunder, liquid cinnamon. Your name dissolves on my tongue, a velvet fig. I bathe you in the baptistry, dip your feet in cedarwood oil. On the rooftop, we share the last bottle of wine. Ripe lips stain naked thighs. We sway like lit thuribles. The clang of vesper bells echoes, stretches like shadows on the street, ricochets off pursed clouds. Do you see the stars? Swelling and popping like bloated balloons. They fall and fizz, seep through my fingers onto your bare chest. The next poem is Remember Colorado. Eyelash thin air thickens our throats. We breathe twice as much here. Tonight it's cold feet cram into boots too weak for this weather. Broken buckles, snapped seams. Tonight is black glass roads, ribboning behind us, frosted windows, chained tires, slush. We share the last cigarette. Tell me a story, one I haven't heard before. Tonight is apple picking in Massachusetts when you were 16, the last time you remember smiling. Tonight you drive with closed eyes. Loving you is not caring if we crash. Tonight there's no way around it. Saying goodbye is biting an apple with loose teeth, the crunch and rip of red skin. Must this story end? You simper. Don't simper. Take a final drag. And lastly, after your funeral. I throw your leather jacket, your sheets, your handwritten letters into the river. Broken wine bottles stud the river's cusp. Glass shards slice the sky, drawing blood. Those thick drops blot my skin like cigarette burns on a car seat, searing pores, stinging eyes. Our rope swing still strings that tree, tattered, unspooling. I plunge into rust-red water, sink into the mud. You're the thick pill I can't swallow, the cyst in my esophagus. You the sore I can't stop tonguing, the prayer I recite before sleep.
Okay, so we will have some una pieza. They're gonna put them over here. But then I heard that someone told me that there's someone very shy. You know, there's some person, they are making signals over there. You, come on, don't be shy. It's all right. I mean, I read and, so, come on.
All right. This is a poem I wrote around 3 years ago, and I'm going to have to put it here because I didn't have my cell phone. The poem title is called Oh Dearest. You know, I want things for the best. I've always wanted everything for the best. I don't wish for bad. I want things to be well. I need a fixing I can't obtain. The world around me is harder than it gleams. I work hard to obtain a better scene, yet I'm clashed down because of your restlessness, impatience, silence. I don't know all that flows through your mind. All I know is that the bits you've left around my design, how am I the cause? How am I the fox? I just wanted a heads up. I wanted you to know the position I'm in. I hoped you'd understand. You didn't listen. You didn't care. I tried to warn you, but you undesired to care. You say as if you care, but do you see my glare? I've warned, I've asked, I've choked till the last. Today, I took my position and gave it a flare. I showed you what I meant, and I meant it for real. Things will change from now on. I will create a better view. I will make it a bigger deal. Once you see the effect, you will see how great we are to be. You called it a joke. You joked? What joke? Did I know you for real? This went far. As far as you see, you've caused a blunder to yourself and for me. You are really as great as you redeemed to be. I think you've knocked low, low, and low. You should have not, never. Something you should have done, years and years altogether. Lack of knowledge brought you to this depth. I will now be the light, that hope of delight. You will go through this no more. You will have as you wish once more. Just listen to me well. Time will come, slowly, my dear. Speak your mind, speak it right. Lessen your suffering, lessen your thought. Not everything is closed as you think. You have a light, let it not dull. We are here, we are modern. Simplicity should really be as it goes. Have it there, let it flow. Don't clash it, please just don't. You close doors as if you owned pathways, not yours, but mine. Your mind is not wise. Elderly, take your stand. Make it right, make it bright. Advice to those who need it. Let no one take your rights. Now, learn from me, learn from everyone. Seek out new perspective, apply it, deny it, refine it. It's all in your hands. Knowledge at its best. Bring yourself into serenity. Get through matters in a fresh way, as I have, through time and patience. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we have Alfredo. Step up.
Okay. Buenas tardes. Primero, I want to thank my English professor. Actually, I forgot that we were supposed to meet here today, so I'm a bit late. I've heard some pretty cool poems. It's pretty awesome. It's my first time up here, and I get a bit nervous, but I'll do my best. I wrote this poem a long time ago, and I actually chose it to read here because when I was reading it, man, I felt I had the world in my hand. And now que estoy en tercer año de colegio, mano, things get pretty hard, and it kind of feels that what I thought, I kind of feel the opposite way now. So when I hear it, when I read it, I want to express it, and share it with you guys. The poem's called Painted Reflection. Have you ever heard that we are the shapers of life, the essence, the purpose, the cause and effect. Well, that's me in a special way. Let me tell you the life that I have created. It takes, the trees are tall and light brown. The lake is light blue, not because of the reflection of light, but because I made it that way. The mountains are grayish and full of snow on the peaks, not because of erosion, but because I stretched the smallest boulders and made them into strong and tall gods. The people smile, laugh, love, and reason, not because of the grace and faith, but because I have hope for humanity. Now I open my eyes and look at my creation. Together, the trees next to the lake, behind the lake, the stretched tall mountains. And in the mountains, you see smoke, smoke that comes from the fire that drives humanity. What am I? Altogether, let me give you a hint. I'm not God, but I'm something similar. I am an artist. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Really, thank you. Pretty, really, really awesome. So now we have Carolyn with 3 poems.
Hello. Okay, the first poem I'm going to read is called Sphere of Morning. My journal dropped, and me, oh, sorry, I got to start over. Okay, my journal dropped, and people, like the animals they are, trampled the roots of my being, leaving my words bleeding, dripping into the pores of the pavement. They find themselves absorbed by every soul but mine, leaving me speechless. Yet the streets manage to talk. Those shoes pounding on the surface like beats on a drum. I gasp to breathe, struggling to hold on to the color slipping through the broken seals between my fingers. The crossing paths of New York's roadways are disorienting, their words like ink blotches blurring my way. The array of colors casted from its people paint the sidewalks like a portrait of my life, a mess. Yet beauty found in the most hopeless place. Had screw-ups never happened, some of my most treasured memories would vanish. Dissolved in a sea of silver concrete, journal words dripping into the streets. Okay, this one's after my favorite bar drink, so it's called Sex on the Beach, please. Message in a bottle, moist ocean air sweeps our bare skin, hair on end, warm passion, sand coating our pools of sweat, warm beads collecting between my breasts. Fluttering hearts and weakened limbs left us breathless. Okay, and this one should be good for this time of the year. It's called Come What Lurks. The temptation to sin lurks around every corner. Black, dirty grime, hidden inside of a bottle, or dusted in powder the color of innocence, taking the form of an irresistible lover. A simple, crisp apple heeded the warning of what was to come with its thundering crunch between my teeth. Yet my urge was too strong to resist.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. What do we got next? We got Angie.
Hello. Ok. Buenas noches. Mi poema va a ser en español. No me quiten puntos, por favor. No, no me gusta, no. Exacto. Por propósitos de referencia lo empecé a escribir durante una clase de español y me inspiré en un poema de Elmira Agustini, que si no me equivoco es de Argentina, y el poema se llamaba Intruso, que abre así el poema con ese título. Se llama el poema Desatendida. Ok. Mi primera hermana mía. Puedo ser el intruso en tu portal compartido. Como efímero inquilino explota mi esencia al entrarte. Envuélveme en tu seda. Despréndenos en goterones abatidos. Acuna mis ansias, calla mi odio, suavízame las manos, dale el ejercicio que necesitan para quererte, para hacerte mía. Elévame hasta donde solo con las yemas basta tocar para desencarcelar tu caliente cariño, tu fácil dominio, mi fácil entrega, despedazada de razonamientos inútiles a la hora de despedazarnos por completo. Y ese mudo encuentro, luego de que se desatiende el beso, juega en mí, se escurre de mi boca a mi vientre. Se entrega, se derrite, se me hace pegajoso, se me hace irresistible, se me alarga la vista, se me endurece el tacto. Te vuelca desesperada, te despegas indignada, pues esto es así ahora, ¿me explico? Pero me haces temblar, conteniéndome, atrapándome, aferrándome a tu seno. Lo que quieres es acabar algo, dulce y suave como debe ser, íntimo, embesolizado, que está ahí en beso. Gracias.
¿De qué estamos hablando? That was nice. That was awesome. Right? Thank you. Okay, so we got Laura. Laura signed here. Ah, there we go.
Bueno, pues buenas noches ya. Yo voy a decir dos en español y uno en inglés. Y uno dice así. Me siento a dedicarte un par de rimas que me tomaron todo el día. Últimamente te amerito mis desvelos. Cada noche aún más me arriesgo. Dime, ¿qué le haremos? Y es que no te puedo sacar de mi mente. En cada pensamiento te encuentras presente, como llama de fuego insaciable que con ferocidad abarcadora besa su entorno, sin disculpas ni intenciones de retorno. Yo te llevo a un mar apacible y tú me llevas a uno picado. Olas alborotadas que me mueven de lado a lado. Si me abalanzo a lo desconocido, rompo el silencio con 1000 latidos. Ese silencio que me esconde como el sol a la luna. En un eclipse, ando fascinada. Con tus letras me enmudeciste. Mi pregunta es muy simple. ¿Esto va más allá de unos versos? Y si es así, ¿me concedes una cita? Estoy a solo una llamada. De ti espero noticias. Este otro es mucho más corto. Se llama Efervescencia. Era efervescencia lo que sentía, era una sensación pletórica de energía. Corría por mis venas como un cosquilleo profuso que no cesaba. Cada vez que te acercabas, ansiaba sentirte bajo mis dedos. Mis manos se movían acorde a su deseo, como si fueran las burbujas y tú fueras la superficie. Sin embargo, el hervor no duró mucho. Yo solo fui una dosis de bienestar. Pero tengo que confesar que fue un placer tu visita fugaz. So this other poem goes to someone in my family that I told them that I wanted to cut my hair real short, and they said that it wouldn't really look good on me because I wasn't really feminine. And so I never really finished this poem, but what I got, it goes, why must you tell me that I'm not quite feminine? Is it to give advice or just for the hell of it? Your definition doesn't fit with mine. Excuse me, but I'm not sorry. I refuse to be your stereotype. High heels and makeup are superficial things. A woman doesn't need those to express what's within. Let me explain to you how I define being ladylike. It has nothing to do with dresses or hair. I think your visual perception is a little unfair. It's the way she carries out. It's all in the personality. She can be a little rough around the edges, but that does not mean masculinity.
Awesome, awesome. You know, it's funny when you think that you're the only person that writes a little bit, and you know all these wonderful people that, mira todo esto, this is amazing. We should totally make more open mics, you know, definitely. Okay, so we have Leonel.
This is actually I feel really nervous because it's actually the first time I read one of my poems in public. So excuse me if I stutter a lot. Also, I have a couple in English, but I don't really feel that comfortable with them, so I'm gonna read one in Spanish. Este poema está titulado Pidan. Dicen que los rompecorazones no tienen sentimiento, pero se les olvida que todo error tiene causa y efecto. Se les olvida que siempre hay dos lados de la historia y quien se hace la víctima puede ser una puta escoria. Pero claro, siempre es fácil criticar, soltar la lengua sin saber toda la verdad. Se les hace muy fácil señalar, peste es ponerse a hablar, sin la realidad afrontar, sin sus errores mencionar. Les reto a que digan toda la verdad, entonces veremos a quién van a señalar.
But look at Digo. This is amazing. You should read more, by the way. Just saying. No pressure, but you should totally read more. We have one more person, and it's not that you can participate anymore, but Maria, an employee from here, La Cueva.
Hello. This is a short story I wrote in 11th grade. That's 2011. And it's not very meaningful or anything, so I don't know. Little change of pace. Here we go. It's called In the Blackness. The blackness swallowed my feet whole. My shoelaces might be untied right now, waiting to trip me into some bottomless pit. I pointed my flashlight at my shoes. The blackness scurried away, leaving behind two red and white fall leather running shoes that are supposed to shape my buttocks, each wielding a neatly tied white shoestring with a shiny aglet at each end. Starving to death while falling endlessly was the least of my worries now. I pointed my flashlight ahead of me. Dust was flying through the air. I sneezed and cautiously took a step forward. Nothing peculiar happened, except that I sneezed again. I kept walking through the narrow corridor until I reached a wall, a dead-end hallway, not a door in sight. Instead, there was a filthy mirror hanging on the newfound wall. I resisted the urge to straighten the crooked, gold-plated frame when I noticed letters being traced in its dirty glass. Get out, they said. Great idea, Ghost. Now do you think that you could turn on the light so I can find my way to the front door? I turned around and headed back down the corridor, seeking the path from which I had come. By now, I had sneezed many more times, but I'd rather not bore you with the details of my stern mutation. Needless to say, it was dusty. It was so dusty that I could barely see 6 feet in front of me. Make that 0 feet. My flashlight died. I don't think the ghost appreciates sarcasm, because I'm sure I had put in brand new batteries in the flashlight. It didn't even flicker before the blackness overpowered me. I guess the fact that this happens in every horror story ever should have been warning enough. I continued my way down the corridor, tracing my fingers on the cracked wallpaper, hoping for any sign of an exit. A wise man once told me that the blackness is not as terrifying as the light. If the corridor was well illuminated and there was a hungry tiger in front of me, then I would spot the hungry tiger and be terrified of it. I would proceed to run away in vain. As the hungry tiger claws at me and eats my innards, it would be a painful death, preceded by awful feelings of horror and panic. If the corridor is as black as it is now, and there is a hungry tiger in front of me, I would not spot it, and I would not be terrified of it. I would proceed to do nothing in vain as the hungry tiger claws at me and eats my innards. It would be a painful death preceded by blissful ignorance. The memory of the wise man made me paranoid, so I stretched out my arm and felt for a hungry tiger with my lifeless flashlight. No hungry tigers in my reach. I continued down the hall until I reached another wall. On the wall hung a filthy mirror with the letters "Get Out" traced backwards. I was certain that I had entered the corridor through a door, but I didn't find any now. Relentless, I turned around again. Just a step away from the mirror to mirror, the unthinkable happened. I tripped over my shoelaces into a bottomless pit. No, not bottomless. After what felt for like 4 minutes, but probably wasn't, I hit the ground with a loud thud. Then I heard the distinctive growl of a hungry tiger. Maybe I should have been nicer to the ghost.
Thank you very much. We'll now have a little intermission. We'll be setting something up, right? Because the main speaker, the guest speaker will be next. but then let's take a break and have some coffee, talk amongst ourselves, and then we'll start again. However, this doesn't mean that you cannot participate. If you still want to go, you can look for me and sign up, all right? Thank you. Okay, so are we ready? Yeah, sure? Yes? No? More time? No time? No time, of course not. There's no time. Well, now most students already spoke. Excuse. So now we give the time for our guest speaker. Bonafide Rojas is the author of Pero Bueno, When the City Sleeps, and Renovatio. He's in the band The Mona Passage. So please, give a round of applause for our guest speaker, Bonafide Rojas.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo está todo el mundo hoy? Si no tiene un silla, hay silla ahí mismo. Siéntate. Stop standing around. Only títeres stand around. That's what my mom would say. All right, so I'm going to read a couple poems. I've been reading poems all week, so if you heard some of it, just be happy I read it again. I'm going to start with a new one, actually. No one knows this one yet. It doesn't really have a title yet, but I think I'll call it, I don't know yet. All right. Today, we celebrate the dead, we mourn the living, we wash our hands of his name, of his arrival, of the moment he changed everything. What do you say to the lost explorer who thinks they found something? What do you say to the feeble who thinks they are superior to those with different tongues, who has a microscopic view of the world? You are still lost. We wash our hands of his colonialism. We wash our hands of his imperialism. We wash our hands of his name. America, the sockets of your children the eye sockets of your children are as hollow as your smile. The gold coin under your tongue has been replaced with the oil you held in your cheek. Your hands are holding the names of the people you sent to war. For what cost? For freedom. Now you barely believe that, don't you? We know you're a money-grubbing bastard scared of being bankrupt and having China own 80% of you. Your heart is weak. Your vision of the future is bleak. How are you teaching your children? These politicians with wood dentures have crippled you. These silver spoons have been sharpened and they've been stabbing Generation X and the millennials, puncturing their dreams, and you were just standing there, using your flag as a sling, blindfolded, not knowing what is left or right, only profit and loss, supply and demand. We are not cattle. We are not here for the slaughter. America, when did you become so hideous? Why have you forsaken your future? When facing the barrel of a gun, hope they're a bad shot. Hope they're just not following orders. Hope you look like their brother. Hope they had an amazing day. Hope they realize they got the wrong person. Hope they know this isn't the Wild West. Hope they understand this is a bad idea. Hope God intervenes even though you don't believe in her. Hope Batman comes swooping in. Hope they're allergic to nice hair. Hope you're not holding a wallet. Hope they don't have fear on their breath. Hope they don't think you're a terrorist. Hope they don't think you're a communist. Hope they have some humanity left. Hope this story is not a reoccurring moment. Hope they have fear of blood. Hope they haven't been trained for this. Hope your mutant power manifests itself. Hope this is a dream you wake up from sweating. In the morning, you can smell the stench of three-piece suits, a mix of corruption and imperialism. They carry vomit in their cups, standing in the shadows of kings and cherry trees, their feet in the skulls of the dead, cracked wide open, their mouths full of declaration. These presidents with blood on their hands in the name of freedom, brush their teeth with scalpels to remove the taste of colonialism. They pack their pockets with remote controls to drones that hover over Oakland, over Chicago, over Iraq, over Palestine. They compare death notes, laugh at the tolls in comparison to the profits of dead mouths. They rot at the root from capitalism. They eat their shit to survive, sacrifice babies for immortality, get portraits painted with blood. They toast at the stroke of midnight. Outside, the mob gathers with fire and pitchforks. It was summer. The heat was unbearable. The day was bright and the sky looked blue like a policeman's uniform. Each day pushes the bridge 5 inches closer to the right, making more undercover Republicans feel more comfortable to shed their dead skin all over the streets. Death has known this town fairly well. Had an apartment in Hell's Kitchen because he thought the name was a catchy phrase for a gateway. The dead wait online being served by number, just as slow as a DMV, but more polite. The living walk on eggshells. The zombies stumble upon each other. No one smiles here. The balconies have corpses in them. Central Park is a cemetery. There are hearses filing up on Broadway from Battery Park to Inwood. Death knows this is a business. Being born is expensive. Living is expensive. Dying is expensive. Being free is expensive. Being jailed is expensive. Everything is a business and death wants his cut. The street is newly paved. The hearses are glossy black. It was daytime. No one said a word. The heat was unbearable. The dead lined up the streets with names that roll off your mouth like Eric, Michael, Trayvon, Anthony, Rakia, Oscar, Sandra. They still have their eyes open, the look of shock imprinted on their forehead. They have their hopes and dreams written on their right palm. We put their right hand on their heart. The street, newly paved, run with blood, flows downtown. Death is standing at Union Square defending their right to use guns. Everyone is crying. And there is a rally at Union Square defending their rights to use guns. We are a cemetery. We celebrate the living and the dead. We have no country. It was summer. Death was unbearable that year. Thank you. You know, open up with a nice, chipper, really nice, happy poem and shit. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for those who read. And thank you for the ones who read who stayed. I think the biggest thing about poetry readings is that you always want the people at the end of the reading, not per se me, I don't give a fuck, but the people at the end of the reading, you want them to read to the full house the same way the first person read. And I think that's all, you train to that. The more open mics you'll have, you'll get cockier. You'll be like, don't fucking leave. They'll be like, well, I have a test. So you're going to fail anyway. 20 minutes isn't going to save your life. No one told you to wait last minute. You know how Jose is. All right. When I cradle the title poet, I will be the voice of them. I will speak of the survivors of Hiroshima, the cancer babies of Vieques, the echoes of Diallo, the whispers of a mother scorned, voices of a shadow between bars, workers in California grapevines, uvas, no. Priests of Latin American liberation theology, I will feed my esophagus the cries of the homeless, the screams of the children of Palestine, campesinos of Chiapas, a reverb of Sandino, speeches of Che, ahimsa of Gandhi. I'll wrap their souls around my tongue to strengthen my thoughts. They showed me what it was to sacrifice for love. Words will be bullets fired in the night. A Molotov cocktail thrown at a tank. A rock in my defense. My voice will shatter every misogynistic statement ever spoken. A roaring Asada. A yelling Goldman. A shouting Lolita. I'll be the last breath of Anthony Baez. The last scream of Albizu. The final proclamation of Malik Shabazz, the last screech of Jimmy's guitar before he meets you on the other side. For when I cradle the title poet, I will know the truth. I will speak Armenian and tell you of our genocide. I will scat like Langston, howl like Ginsberg, love like Neruda. 5 in the afternoon, Garcia Lorca said, I'll shake your hand firm to show you sincerity. I wish you shalom and other words of are the poems of Ceylon, Futurist Akhmatova, Middle Passage Sanchez, Black Magic Baraka poetry. Sandinista Cardenal was our marks of victory. Love will be my box of ammunition. Haikus will be grenades in the hands of children defending their homes. Our skin, our elegies, our blood, our laments, my breath, iambic, intertwined with hope. This is a shriek, a groan, a grunt, a ballad, a sonnet, an ode. Poems will be earthquakes in this infrastructure. Paragraphs will be punches in the face of capitalism. For when I cradle the title poet, I will know what it is to love. Because I know in its purest form, poetry is revolutionary, just like love. So there's no one has ever written an original poem. We are all a continuation and a continuum of the poets before us. So this poem was based on another poet's concept. So I thank him for the inspiration. I didn't steal too much. I only stole a couple things. I won't tell you what the poem is either. That's the best part. I mean, one time I saw a poem. I was like, wow, I remember totally stealing half the shit on this piece. Thanks, man. He's been dead for like 70 years. But I really wanted to read this for you because I think at this age, because I remember being that young once, sometimes you just wake up and you're apathetic and you have no hope and you think everything is the end of the world, and it's not, It's not. Like, school is important, but at the end of the day, even if you drop out or you fail, you still have a life that you have to live. So this is it's called Today is Amazing. It's one of the few poems that when I wrote it, I was like, ooh, this might actually sound really good in Spanish, but I wasn't going to read it. I have some really long fucking words here. All right, are there anyone watches Doctor Who? Anyone watches Doctor Who? All right, there's a word in there that you're going to recognize that I think only Whovians really understand. So you'll see. All right. This is the day we rise up in the morning, full of wonder, staring at the sun, grateful from the dreams of the night before, still intact like a spider web crystallized. We heard no gunshots last night. We heard no screams. And the mirror is showing us an older version of ourselves. This is the day nothing breaks. Nothing. Nothing will break on us. Not our hearts, our lives, our family, our bodies, our homes, our children will grow from every scratch, fall, slip, with no genetically modified assistance. No corporate sponsorship. No hardships. No breaks, broke, breach, crack, gash, split, rift, rupture, fracture, tear. Only cures. For free. Revivals, restorations, renovations, reinventions, renewals, and regenerations. We will be full of miracles, no diseases here, no Alzheimer's, no HIV, no diabetes, no smallpox, no chemical labs of destruction, no heart attacks, no pharmaceutical business profiting off our sickness. There will be no sick. This is the day none of us, no one gets shot or killed. We are bulletproof, foolproof, and celebrated like Saturdays, shining on a midnight billboard with confetti falling down during New Year's Eve where everything amazing happens. We grow flowers from our palms, find pens that never run out, heard our enemies say they love us, all the buses and trains run on time. No worry about the bills. There'll be no bills. And our bank accounts will be sexy. This is the day that being optimistic is not looked at as strange, not looked at as delusion, but necessary as breath and paid lunch breaks, that poetry is fed to everyone with pan y café, where art is cultivated by everyone, even the people who don't enjoy it, but understand the need for it. This is the day we create new harmonies for the new songs, for our new skin, with new eyes, so that we can be seen new too. We've become independent of any government, of any doctrine. We'll destroy jails, build more schools, build more gardens. We'll plant so many flowers. We'll tear down all the condos and empty skyscrapers, build theaters in their place, build homes to love in, reclaim these lands in the name of the people. We will free the people. We will rehabilitate the concept of freedom, rescue those who have trouble understanding themselves. It'll be magical and fantastic. This is the day we'll have well-rested doctors and no 10-hour waits in the emergency room. There'll be no policing of our bodies, no stigma, no judgment. We can love anyone, be with anyone, no supremacy of any kind, no hatred, no racism, no bigotry, no homophobia, no Republicans, no Democrats either, no banks, no capitalism, no politicians, no presidents, no dictators, no monarchs, no gods. We can be anyone. We can pick and choose the dreams of our own making. And this is the day we become immortal. With fantastic past, brilliant presents, and amazing futures, with beautiful cause and effect, and there'll be no such thing as consequence, because everything will be done with positive intent. We will be polite in our growth. This is the day we explore every inch of the world, travel the universe, and see how everything is connected, and see how wrong we were about everything. How we are a microcosm of a microcosm of a microcosm, and it'll be a wonderful epiphany. We'll restructure our egos, for it blinded us to think that we were the center of the universe when we were so far left, light years from the middle, that we'll feel foolish, yet with no shame. And the center of the universe is actually a small lit fire dancing in the middle of Pluto. This is the day we become more human, more humble with ourselves. Use imagination for beauty, for simple pleasures and complicated miseries. We'll discover how our emotions work and how we need to hold ourselves more accountable. We give ourselves time to feel, to understand reactions, to observe how love changes everything and us every time. And we are grateful we are here, that we made it this far. This is the day we forgive our loved ones for not being loved ones. We wash our hands free of their selfishness, accept them more because of their flaws. We are not perfect either, nor should we be. Being healthy, living forever, gaining high intellect, we are still flawed because we are people. And this year we are pure visions of beauty, of joy, no fairy tales. This is the day no one goes hungry here, where there's no gluttony, no starvation, no commercials about feeding a child, no throwing food out if not purchased. Water is free, air is free, food is free, love is free. This is the night that we lay down in the evening, full of wonder, staring at the moon, grateful for the day, the spider web still intact and crystallized. We heard no gunshots, we heard no screams, and the mirror showed us an older version of ourselves, and we found it beautiful. So fucking beautiful. Thank you. Puerto Rico, do you know how much your children love you? Do you know how hard they defend your name and choices, blindly even when you're wrong? We know we're both flawed, but we're optimistic. We see the past and dream that tomorrow will be a glorious one, filled with sonic daydreaming and a futuristic bomba y plena, a dance drenched in the story of a new perspective, a new narrative for you, querida. We love you so much. We turn away when the government has their hands up your puppet senate, the corners of your body being sold to the highest bidder, not thinking about the repercussions, not thinking about tomorrow. Listen to your children speak your name. Tell our story. Listen if there's still love in their voice, or is it being gagged by the United States? Puerto Rico, look into the ocean. Do you recognize yourself, querida? Calling you magical was an understatement. You do not need this assimilating culture of the United States. Gather bits and pieces like the rest of the world does. See how you'll grow naturally. See how your beauty will overflow like an ocean dancing on land. See how the sky will run for you. Watch the rain embrace you close. Querida, why do you think you need those stars and stripes? You have your own. You only need one. You only need you. You are so enchanting and so beautiful. People do not see you the way you deserve. They see a shell of yourself. Shed the skin. Please reinvent yourself. Find yourself in the embrace of those who love you. Okay. So, one of the things that I write about, and I've always written about, son lo cosas político con Puerto Rico. So in June, I was doing the Maya West writing program, and I had this group of like high schoolers. They were like 12th grade. So Nanvan had asked me, what do you want to write about? So I told her I want to write about New Eureka poetics, pop culture as a unifying tool, and I told her that I want to do a class on the chronological history of American imperialism in Puerto Rico. And she was like, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And it was a really long class. Like I went from like 1898 to like last week or some shit. So eventually I figured out, the problem when you want to be too preachy is that people are gonna tune out after a while. So I had to reformat it. And then the first version was called 100 Reasons Why Puerto Rico Should Be Free. I still thought it was too long, even though it exists somewhere. So then this came out, and it's called In the Morning of Our Independence. And there's a bunch of play on words in that, so you can decide how you think I spelled that. If you don't know about something I mentioned here, just write it down. And I mentioned at the end that this is not perspective. These are all facts. Things are historical documentation. Most of it's available in the Library of Congress or Wikipedia, however you want. Wikipedia is good for something. You're not gonna go to Wikipedia and be like, oh, mira, Goku's the president of the United States. No, that's not gonna happen. It'll easily be, the emperor. Our independence only lasted 7 days. And on the 8th day, when the Americans invaded, we were swimming, still celebrating from the new charter the former oppressive country had signed for us. Since the beginning, men in ships thought they found a paradise to conquer. We, in one shape or another, have always been here. Before America, before the West Indies, before Puerto Rico, we've been here. Before treaties, referendums, and plebiscites were created for us, and no one has ever truly asked us for our opinion. This is what colonialism looks like in the 19th century. Boardrooms and suits monopolize our lives, trading countries like collectibles, cut off our supply, make us dependent on them. So when we speak of independence, we are looked at as crazy or radical. We've rioted more than once to control our destiny, to manifest our fate. But as cannons can be metaphors, it doesn't hurt as much as being betrayed by our brothers for rank and position. At the turn of the century, racist white men were appointed to govern Puerto Rico, generals that fought for the South in the Civil War, the American Indian Wars, Wounded Knee. These are the men that were appointed to govern us, Republican politicians and businessmen. At the turn of the century, we've been plantation, military location, export platform for corporation tax breaks. All that could have been harvested has been harvested, and these corrupt businesses have tried to own it all. The atrocities of the Jones Act of 1917 drafted 18,000 Puerto Ricanos into World War I. Operation Bootstrap experimented and sterilized 1/3 of the women by testing birth control without their knowledge or consent. This is thinly veiled versions of racial cleansing. We were force-fed migration with images of new hope, new land, new opportunities, made us dependable on the oppressor, made us think that we should be grateful, and we lived there, under the boot of a nation, with hypocrites who call it democracy that promoted liberty, justice, and free speech for all those in command. Once there was a gag law called Ley de la Mordaza, made it a crime to sing a patriotic tune, to speak or write of independence, to hold assembly with any regards of our political status, to display a flag in our home, our flag. This allowed police to enter anyone's home without a warrant, to search and seize all properties, and this happened to us and no one knows the stories. We have massacres on our hands, Ponce, Mayagüe, Jayuya, Hurtado, Naranjito, Arecibo. They are still on our hands, and no amount of salt water can clean the blood from it. We've just been ignoring it. Our body is Salón Boricua. New York City is Salón Boricua. Chicago is Salón Boricua. Philadelphia is Salón Boricua. Orlando and Miami is Salón Boricua. They will continue to come for us, shoot us, drag us in the street, arrest us, say we shot first. 1 versus 41. How many of us has died for this concept of freedom? Have we been in the embrace of the oppressor for so long that we think this is what freedom is? And if you're pro-statehood, then you're searching for something else, because that will not solve anything. It will fully assimilate us into American fabric, and then we've been fed decades of apathy through American fast food and bullshit politics. And we'll never realize a dream after we spend 25 years in jail, we'll be declared systematically tortured, declared insane. This is what genocide looks like in the 20th century. Our children will never see a free Puerto Rico. Some of us don't know how to swim. And I think it should be a mandatory survival skill, because there are sharks on land, in sea, in corporations, in everything. And some people think I am a sinking ship. And some will jump ship, and others will sink with me. And some will light a candle and then swim to safety. But we all need to know how to swim. We don't need imperial lifeguards or American surfboards. No one's ever told you that we've been a colony for 117 years. That our home is being run into the ground, $72 billion in debt, and none of us know why. They know why. None of us know why. We don't control our export-import. The Pentagon owns 15% of the land, operates 5 atomic missile bases. English has been declared the official language 3 different times, even though Spanish is a colonized language. That is another poem for another time. Do not plan a future in the embrace of an abuser. This country does not really care for us. They bombed Vieques for 50 years. The whole world recognizes us as a colony except for the colonizer. No president from McKinley to Obama has ever given a shit about Puerto Ricans. No commission created by racist white Americans should ever talk about Puerto Ricans. This is what imperialism looks like in the 21st century. Betances, Albizu Campos, Rodriguez de Tio, Gonzalo Marin, Matos Paoli, and Lolita Lebron are all rolling in their graves. Oscar Lopez Rivera has been in jail 34 years for fighting for the freedom of Puerto Rico. Nelson Mandela was in jail for 27 years for fighting to end apartheid. Viva Puerto Rico is not a slogan for our shirt, but for our hearts. So when you defend the oppressor and say, all that happened in the past, things are so different now. Puerto Rico is a commonwealth. People voted on it. Remember how we've been cut from our supply, made us dependable on the oppressor. So that when we speak of independence, we are looked at as crazy and radical. Remember, the oppressors will tell their one-sided stories. Their vantage point triumphs. And those who have died can't tell their stories, but we are not dead. We are here right now. We don't need history books to see, to read, or know the truth that these are not perspectives, these are facts. Our wealth is not common. It is controlled not by us. This is what Puerto Rico looks like right this minute. You know, I have some like real chipper poems today, you know, they're really, really cute and, you know. So, you know, outside of the 4 million things I can talk about in terms of politics, optimism is one of my biggest things. Optimism is one of the biggest things. Living life, not necessarily accordingly, but to the fullest. You know, I think college is one of those like really weird places where you want to live everything to the fullest, and then you have like a 30-page paper, and you're like, I'm just gonna kill myself. There's no way I'm gonna die. Like, I've cried for grades, please. I cried for mad grades. I was like, I can't. If I fail, I'm gonna get kicked out, and then my mom's gonna kill me. He's like, pass. I'm like, ay, gracias, Dios. I fucking hated math in school, y'all. I hated it. I was like, what? Can I like do this in a poem or some shit? They're like, you gotta show your work. Why I gotta show my work? The answer's right there. Fucking math teachers, yo. You know, math is only really important to mathematicians. Everybody else is like, uno, dos, tres, $10. Gracias. That's really it. I told my son, look, you know, I think he's good at math. I don't really think he is, though. I was like, the only math you need to know is that when you're playing the video game with your bank account, the higher score always wins. And he's like, I was like, I go, no one told me that shit at fucking 11, at 12. I didn't get a bank account until I was 20-something. I had like a box. I was like, chavo. Hey, boy. You know, I'm mad Puerto Rican. I say chavo. Everyone else says efectivo. First time I had a job where I had to talk to Spanish people, I was like, ¿tú estás pagando con chavo? They were like this. What hick-ass country? I'm Puerto Rican. They go, pfft. I was like, perdóname, efectivo. Or tarjeta. I like chavo. I think chavo sounds better. All right. If today is my last day, then let it be a day I fill with things that I love, like laugh with my son, read my favorite poems, which would be so hard because I have so many, listen to music the whole day, dance with my mother who hates dancing, tell my sister I love her and that I'm proud of her, call everyone I've cared for, thank them for the years of friendship, tell random people on the street that they are beautiful, and tell them that compliment is free. Ride a train, ride a bike, ride a boat, go to the tallest building, scream something beautiful like, I love you, and maybe somebody will respond back. Fight for your independence, paint murals of your heroes from Betances to Neruda, Albizu, Che, Carlo, Dalí, Miró, Malcolm, Lorca, de Burgos, Nin, Lenin, Hendrix, Bolivar, Martí, Hostos, Toussaint, Zapata, Zappa, Baraka, Ginsberg, Jaco, Coltrane, Cobain, Basquiat, Garcia Marquez. Thank them for their art. Tell children to live on their feet and dream and only kneel when thankful for the universe. And I talk to the universe when I feel like no one is listening. Apologize to those who you truly should apologize to. And to the others, tell them to fuck off. They're still not worth it. I speak to my father even though he's dead. It won't be the first time. I tell him about how good the Yankees are doing. And I'll probably be lying because, sometimes they're not. I'll be planting new trees on this last day. I go to all the corners of my life that are catalysts. And I remember them. And I reenact them, and I see these young versions of myself, wild, stupid, rambunctious, ego-driven, hyper-sugared, up all night, graffiti sprayed, and Broadway made, and I draw on the floor. I write my name. I tell those moments, thank you for existing. Thank you for being a building block to right now. And then, I think of all the cities I visited once or 100 times. London, Paris, Amsterdam, Barcelona, Havana, Puerto Rico, Brussels, LA, Toronto, DC, Versailles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, visit all the houses my son lived in. And I thank them for keeping him safe. I take a walk around the city that I love, eat pizza from Patsy's, have a glass of sangria from Camaradas, then I go home to the only place I've ever called home. The one that has a memory in every cheap splice of hardwood floor. I bring down the paintings. I put the books away. I sweep the constant dusty living room. I open the black chest. I take all the journals out. And I see all the erratic handwriting. And someone said it looks like a sociopath's handwriting. But I never believed in the diagnosis given by doctors who were paid by Medicaid. And I read the first poem that I wrote. And it was called Life. And I read to myself, and I see how ironic it was that this 17-year-old was trying to tackle something so massive as life, but I don't blame him. He had nothing then. He probably thought he would never achieve anything. Go anywhere, be anyone, love anything, love anyone, or be loved. And then see the progression through the years and observe the erratic handwriting. And then I go to the same window I looked out as a young boy with the big sky over the abandoned church. And I see the sunset again. And if today is my last day, I'll say, damn, I was a lucky bastard, wasn't I? Thank you. Maybe one more poem, I don't know. So, after this, I have another reading at Casa Betances with a couple bands playing for Vox Populi. You missed my Doctor Who reference. You failed. You failed. Yeah, all right. He would never say that. He would say it was like a time vortex. You said the rain. Pfft, ain't no rain in space. You know what? Let me read one more poem since even though he's going to hear most of the shit later. So, but before I start, let me rephrase that being a New Yorican poet does not mean I'm not Puerto Rican. It just means that I'm part of a school. So I'm mad Puerto Rican. This is how we say it in New York. I'm mad Puerto Rican. I'm not angry. It's just more like I'm very Puerto Rican. But, the word very is boring. Mad sounds better. So, So this is called 30 Ways of Looking at a Puerto Rican or a New Yorican, however you want it. I do not wake up to roosters, even though this whole week be, y por qué lo gallina, 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, yo, papi, you have a job? Go do something. Stop waking me up, yo. It's like 3 hours before my alarm. It's the worst. I do not wake up to roosters. I wake up to construction sites and exhaling buses. 2, English was fed to me by my television babysitter. 3, I barely know what oceans look like. Orchard Beach and Brighton Beach do not count. 4, rice and beans are in cans. I know how to grow culture, but I barely know how to grow food. 5, my skin is pale. My cousin's skin is black. We are called white boy and negro at the same time at the same table. 6, I do not know how to hotwire a car. 7, I have a fear of needles, so being a junkie is out. But being a thief, maybe. 8, I have more books and articles of clothing. 9, as I remember it, I've been called Jewish more times after I turned 21 for whatever reason. I'm mad Puerto Rican. Fuck that, mad Puerto Rican. 10, I do not believe in haircuts until I cut my hair again. 11, when riding the train, everyone could be New Yorican, but most people are New Yorkers. 12, I once got lost in Queens, and so will you. 13, I walked into a riot once and immediately walked out. 14, Excelsior. 15, my son and I watch Batman cartoons all day. He likes Robin. He likes Nightwing. He likes Nightwing a lot. 16, people make fun of me for not knowing how to drive. Then they visit New York City and completely understand why. 17, police have stopped me for looking too out of place. I was standing in front of my building. 18, when in London, searching for the Puerto Rican flag is like trying to find a needle in a brick wall. 19, Spanish does not make you New Yorican, and English doesn't make you New Yorican. 20, New Yoricans dance in their sleep. 21, Pedro, Papoleto, Miguel, Sandra, Luis, Jorge, Tato, and Bimbo walk into a bar and perform magic. Perform beautiful magic. 22, my obituary is not written yet. 23, when I returned to Puerto Rico, everyone stared at me when I spoke, especially for the word water. 24, New Yorkers look like everyone. New Yorkers look like no one. 25, my son was born in Chicago, lived in Harlem, moved to Detroit, is Puerto Rican and Irish, but I keep his heart in the Bronx. 26, I'm like every Puerto Rican. I am not like any Puerto Rican. Trust me, I'm not. 27, in the middle of the bandera is the heart of a New Yorican, Ax Betances. 28, El Mojro is tattooed on every New Yorican heart chamber. 29, a New Yorican and a Puerto Rican walk into a bar and they both ask for Cuba Libre. 30, Patria, Sangre, Libertad. All right, so I'm gonna do one more sign, you know? Y'all like, we ain't got nothing to do. We're gonna fail that class anyway. Jose, do you want to hear the labels? You want to hear the labels? Should I read the labels to them? Yeah, I don't think everyone's heard that. Yeah. Captain, you can't drive through the rain. Let's see. What was it? I was gonna say something. So you know, in life, it's funny. Oh, you don't have Renovate on you, do you? Okay. I had to re-download iBooks. I had to delete it. So for whoever has Renovatio, there's a poem, the very last poem. I'm basically, you know, I think we have to be wary of how we talk to each other and how we use labels. And you know, there are labels that will be pushed onto you and by choice and by force. And even if you deny it, they're still going to be there. And these are the things you have to worry about. And you know, remember, you have to be the one that accepts it. If you don't accept these labels, you know, people are gonna do whatever the hell they want to do regardless. So this is a series of labels, theoretically, that I've been called from the day I was born until like, you know, like a couple of hours ago probably. You know. It's called squeezing through a needle point, or what's in the label and why do you believe in them? Baby boy, toddler, big boy, mama's boy, little man, boricua, little man, mama's boy, hijo, hermano, schoolboy, big ears, Dumbo, class clown, ROJAS, Rojazz, hyper kid, trouble student, foreigner, gringo, que soy, fella son, lefty's kid, Tina's brother, New Yorker, truant, high school freshman, troubled teenager, young man, club head, village head, delinquent, graffiti writer, grafitero, Burke, typical city kid, funky superhero, graffiti writer, criminal, hooligan, hoodlum, cabrón, criminal, high school dropout, little brother, rock and roller, hip hop head, Zulu Nation, Black Panther, young lord, boricua, nacionalista, independista, mujriego, scatterbrain, focus, reinvention, friend, writer, ROJAS, Rojaz, poet, bona fide, graffiti writer, poet, performer, egotistical, activist, Nuyorican, Bronxite, teacher, wanderluster, father, little brother, mama's boy, teacher, bookseller, associate, guitarist, Mona, red, musician, heartbreaker, heartbroken, rebuilder, insecure, secure, lazy, hard work, social butterfly, recluse, older, reserved, performer, reserved, friend, Boricua, Nuyorican, New Yorker, Puerto Rican, fella's son, lefty's kid, Tina's brother, John's father, poet, bona fide, ROJAS, Rojas. Thank you. I'm standing in front of a class society has deemed derelicts and hoodlum, and I am their teacher. I'm writing a poem that will save the world, and they say it has to be as good as a Nas rhyme or Kendrick, and have more emotion than Tupac did. My class consisting of ex-gangbangers, graffiti writers, drug dealers, and students who have traveled too much in the public school system. They are my students. And as their teacher, I have traveled as many roads as they have, and I stand in front of them without fear because they can smell fear. I am them 20 years ahead with poetry being a left turn I made at 17. I tell them that road is approaching, and all you have to do is take that road so fast your passion never catch up to you. I tell them your metamorphosis, you can change your name, your place of rest, your careers, your goals, and strive for what that has seemed so unattainable for so many years. One student says, how? How the hell am I supposed to get there? It's easy for you to say that, but I have one kid, one gang after me, and no job. How the hell am I supposed to go anywhere but down and ask them, how bad do you want it? In the beginning, all I have is poetry. Everything else took a backseat. Girls, family, and work lasted part-time for 6 months of me getting fired for writing on the job. I tell them, use your connections. Intern somewhere. Learn to live. Live to write. Write to love. Love to learn. This is the last day of your life. What are you leave behind? What will be your legacy? And they stare at me like a rabbit in the headlights and say, I don't know. I tell them to open your chest, let it falls out, let it fall on the page. Let the page be a doctor. Let the page be a therapist. Let the page be a lover. Let the page be your enemy, punch it in the face. Let the page be the best friend that ever stabbed you in the back. Let the page be a Prozac. Let the page be a hip-hop. Let the page be a rock and roll. Let the page be that fancy ride you're always talking about. Let the page be that bling-bling on your wrist. Let the page be your autobiography. Tell them who you are. Tell them they're wrong for labeling you. Tell them fuck you for giving up on them. Tell them your life may not be worth shit now, but tomorrow gives you hope so you won't take your life today or the next day. Tell them you'll be here forever. Tell them you're the ones that create beautiful art from stark reality and it scares the shit out of them. Tell them you are loved no matter what anyone says. Tell them you are loved and you're right. Pen in hand, no cares the structure, no cares the spelling, never coming off the page. And then the first student gets up and their mouth open wide and says, I want to live. I want to love. Repeat it 100 times over. I want to live. I want to love. And they ask me if that was any good. And I tell them, it's the best poem I've ever heard. Thank you. So, recuerda, in like 2 hours If you want to hear some of the same poems again. Nah, I got mad shit in that book. I'm saying, if you want to come by to Casa Betances, cool. If not, I appreciate you guys coming out today. If you're interested, the plugs are cool. I don't care. I like selling books. I have books to sell. I got posters to sell. People don't really know about the posters, but and come to the Casa Betances or support on-campus activities for things like this. The only way that he can get the space again is if people show up. If no one shows up, then they're like, well, no one showed up to your shit anyway. You're like, no, people. Like, it was like 5 people last time. They were really strong writers, And if anything, you can always talk to Capitan Jose over there. Everyone knows who Jose is. And thanks for coming out. Give yourselves a round of applause for reading, for staying. Support your baristas in a coffee shop. I don't know, you guys have really weird tippings out here. Like, niggas don't tip shit. They be looking at me like I'm crazy when I tip them. They're like, what? I was like, just tip, like, they ain't making no goddamn money over there. But thank you again. Give it up for your host. Let's give a round of applause for your host again. Vente, Alejandro, vente. All right, we'll see you later.
Wow. I don't even know what to say, really. This has been really amazing, but it's not over yet. I mean, we still have some people. Yeah, no, don't get scared. Okay, no, but we have some more people. We have Joel Valentin. Please come up. By the way, before I just leave the microphone, thank you once again, Bonafide. This has been pretty amazing. So, thank you. And, well, here we have Joel.
How's everyone today? Well, I'm glad. Like, this night's very excellent. I like it. So much motivation. Yeah. Anyway, well, my name's Joel. It's my 6th year in campus. I'm an art major. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur. Yeah. Basically an art major. I brought some artworks. And I'm representing for the Art Association Taku. And yeah, we're just chilling today, expressing ourselves, our artworks. And well, I decided to come up because back when I was a freshman, I used to do some writing, actually. Before I actually got more involved with art and abandoned it. But I actually still consider writing privately, personally. But I have some poems I wrote when I was in my first year. And I believe my first one I would like to recite was an assignment I did for an instructor. He actually loved it. He said it was the best one that I wrote in class, and it really inspired me a lot. It's called "And That Was That." There was this year that there was that thing, with that thin fear, and that thick something. This who I think was somewhat thing, thought of some link to do anything. The thing that thought came to a who I think brought a thing or two. They set those things somewhere on them, and somehow I think they did something then. They finished what they thought and used it rough. They were able to do lots of stuff. But that thing did then what I thought it might. Took what gave them the thoughts they like. They threw the thing that made them do anything, but this made them thin. Now they are nothing. As what this thing did, they now think flat and learn that this was this and that was that. Yeah. I'm not much of a writer, but my purpose of writing is mostly just to be playing around with the words. I don't really like to express myself usually. I usually just do poems when I feel very playful, creative, and I just start playing around with the words like if it was Legos. But I have another poem, and also most of my poems are from my first year. And this other one is written, I don't remember, I think I did it for a writing group. And It was just somewhat trying to use at least colors in it, just to play around with the words like usual. It's called Distinguished by Prisma. Roses are rose red, and violets are violets. Because the confusion had just fed, we are starved by these couplets. Since oranges are exceptional and purples are undefined, our tone is personal. They don't have a rhyme. These words uncomprehend, and so as teal. Since colors are not meant to be read within seals. Leaving light without nostalgia, the rainbow fell to be squished. And at the end of hysteria, Prisma become distinguished. I'm going to say one more poem because I noticed that on top of this one, there was one I really like. Well, not really like, mostly it's actually one that is expressive because somehow I felt an anger issue one day and all of a sudden I'm going, yeah. So yeah, it's called Hatred. I hate you. I hate him. I hate her. I hate them. I hate that. I hate this. I hate those. I hate these. I hate us. I hate myself. I hate your guts, and I hate everything else. I hate things. I hate love, and I hate all, and I hate everyone. But what I do, sometimes for love, are the smiles you all give and the companionship you bring that made me live. Well, thanks.
Okay, so we have a couple of more people, but Anna is on the list, but he has to leave. Okay. Yeah, come on.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, ciao. Okay, I wanted to do one before Bonafide left, but I guess he already exited the building. All right. Yeah, it's all right. I'll catch him at Pedanzas. So I need to get this down a little bit. Okay. There we go. All right, so I haven't done a poetry reading in a while, so I'm going to try and do one of my favorite poems. This one is called ¿Por qué eres tan gringo? At my sister's reception, a woman asked this of my father. Y él, ¿por qué es tan gringo? And I wish she hadn't done that. Hadn't put both him and myself on the spot, digging up old wounds neither of us ever talked about. The unspoken rule in my family always, we're from the States, but grew up in Puerto Rico. Only this one, my son, Ian Francis Roland Romero, first name meaning John in Irish, last name meaning peasant everywhere else. Trust me, I've done the research. Well, let's just say he never quite fit in. And it's been that way 26, 4, 5 years going back, always the kid moving back and forth. 2 years here, 2 years there, and you never quite, at that age, you never quite understand why. Why mom watches Univision and talks rapid fire. These words you can't understand, sings songs about the homeland and cooks. Dear God, how she cooks. Rice and beans, carne guisada in her veins, clogging up my arteries against all other foods. But never once tells me what the word gringo means. Or why I always have to laugh when someone calls me it. You know, there's a reason, I think, why the word nigger and gringo each have 6 letters. And don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing the struggle, not turning the word my ancestors used to symbolize oppression to the word oppressors use today to mark their property. Here's my nigga. There's my nigga. You know you're my nigga. Because gringo doesn't sit well on anyone's tongue, and like the Spanish I was never taught, every time I hear it, all I do is nod and pretend, catch whispers of what the word really means, and try not to think it's people I love, my family, people I've never met, friends, and everyone else who knows me calling me stranger. Alien expat to an alien land, when all I've ever known and loved is Puerto Rico. is San Juan in the summers and its age, salseros crying loud and passionate about women I've never met, Ponce before the Hilton and the highways came. Ponce before walking at night was dangerous, before they tore down the parks. I remember how hot it was during the summers, staying up all night to count stars and walking barefoot everywhere, walking barefoot everywhere. I lived and breathed this island before I knew what this island was, but my own goddamn tongue marks me an American, an enemy, the destabilizing force separating me from family. It's funny though, isn't it, how she didn't complain about my tongue later on that night. Or how sometimes I couldn't roll my R's, how Spanish lay thick as alcohol and yuca in my throat. She never said a word when we kissed, never put distance between us as we danced, bodies moving hard, soft, hard to the beat of music in our veins, because apparently looking like someone else is enough, and for everyone thinking, this gringo, who's he, who looks like me but isn't? My name is Ian Francisco Rolón Romero. The first one means Juan. The second one is not a funny word for a stick of deodorant. Not Mexican, not roll on, or any other cute joke you can think of. I've heard them all and come up with better. I am a child of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cities, and I speak Spanish as well as I fuck. That is to say, hard and fast, slow and passionate, stumbling here and there, but always, 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 mi gente, con ganas de aprender. Gracias.
Super awesome. De verdad. Nice job. So, come on, Anna. By the way, if any of you want to participate, we're still, taking. Exactamente.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Good evening. Ahora, aquí, here. Aquí se escucha. Hello, hello. I'm gonna share this poem with you guys. It's called Just Another Sunset. I find myself staring at people, coming to terms with their humanity and mine with our mortality, and time how the setting of each sun is marked on our faces. We lock eyes and realize that one way or another, we're all just trying, and little by little inevitably dying, and so we politely smile when actually all the while we're clinging on to life and each other. Slowly, we look away, quickly vanishes another day, and tomorrow is just another sunset. Thank you.